Welcome to Binging.
Dragon!
What is going on, mi gente? Welcome back to another episode of Binging Dragons. My name is Ruben, aka CrossRodz, and today's episode will pretty much be how do I feel after 2 weeks? Sadly, yes, 2 weeks of no House of the Dragon, and just pretty much overall thoughts, overall feelings of House of the Dragon season 2. Don't forget to follow the page, subscribe to the channel here on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to. Yes, don't forget to subscribe, follow. Also on social media, Instagram, TikTok, me, CrossRodz. You can find me over here, either CrossRodz or Ruben's Stargarian. I always do content for like movies and TV shows, and then the podcast, and yeah, the regular content for the podcast. Which, by the way, now that House of the Dragon season 2 is done, I am trying to figure out what to cover next. And yes, right now we have Rings of Power very close to coming out. It's actually coming out in 2 weeks. Sadly, I won't be home for that weekend, which is crazy because it'll be a 3 episode premiere. Um, and I am planning on uncovering that one to some extent. I'm thinking about maybe doing the beginning, middle, and end. Um, and who knows, maybe I can do like a bigger episode, somewhat what we did, so, in some ways compared or similar to what we did for House of the Dragon season 2, where we got together, me, Lady Dragon JJ, Mark, House of Nettles, Westerosio, Game of Thrones historian, Estella. It was just incredible. If you guys were part of that, you know that it was just absolutely mind blowing for all of us to get together, and we had such a good time. And you can expect that same team, which some people are calling the Song of Ice and Fire Avengers, which is just freaking just awesome, honestly. But yes, expect that group to come back, and maybe I'll try and do something similar for the end of Rings of Power. But besides of Rings of Power, if there's anything else that you guys would love for me to cover, let me know in the comments. By the way, if you're listening on Spotify, there is now an option for you to leave comments on the episodes, which is super, super cool. Maybe they're turning Spotify more into somewhat of a social media place. Um, and honestly, that is really cool because it gives us people who or make podcasts and whatnot, um, interact more with you all there. So yes, don't forget to tell me what would be cool for me to cover here on the podcast, and whether it's movies, maybe I can do more movies, and instead of shows, I do want to cover at least one show, but we'll see how it goes. Anyways, like I said, this episode is going to be more of a how do we feel after 2 weeks of House of the Dragon season 2 ending? Am I still that I do I still feel like I loved the second season? Do I feel like it was actually not that good? Or there wasn't too much action, and that's why I just think it's trash. I'm just being a little bit sarcastic now, because sadly, that's what I still see every once in a while. And I understand if you wanted more action, fine, but let's also be real about other aspects which are bigger than the action moments within the A Song of Ice and Fire universe, within the Game of Thrones universe. We have to remember that this universe that George created, it's really not a high action story. Yes, there are incredible moments that are full of action, but at the same time, that is not the premise. That is not the main point of this story. We have prophecy, we have big time character development for all of these, pretty much all of these characters, whether it's for the good or for the bad. And yeah, I think just to give you guys an idea, I had to write things down because as you're seeing, today is just me. And when it's just me, even though I feel way more comfortable, sorry if you hear my dog Lila going off right now with her chicken. For those of you that always join the live episodes, you know Lila is always part of it with her chickens, squeaking chickens. I just want to put that out. um, so I wrote down, I made a few notes because I don't want to get sidetracked. And I'm sure I missed a few things here because I had planned to just prep a little bit more today, but I just had a few things to do and whatever. I didn't have the time to do a big time prep for this, but I really wanted to put it out. So, yes, I have my favorite episodes. I did a little good old rank because we all love ranks, right? Um, and I also did favorite aspects slash moments. Maybe I can do, yeah, I think it might be more like a favorite aspects and favorite moments. Maybe one after the other. And then we also have here, yeah, like I said, the favorite moments. It goes on over here. Okay, favorite acting, which I'm excited to get into that one because there were some incredible acting moments in this whole show. Like season 2 was full of great acting moments. And with that being said, I thought everyone was incredible. And I'll say this again whenever we get to that point. I thought everyone was just wonderful. They did such an incredible job. The cast is just spectacular, honestly. Magnanimous, as Aegon's buddies would say. And then I do have a section of what I didn't like, but honestly, whatever. When we get there, we'll talk about it because it's not really like something that threw me off a whole bunch, because I am expecting, as we all should, season 3, and for some of these things to get, resolved in some ways. Anyways, to start off, I just want to say that 2 weeks after the ending of House of the Dragon season 2, I honestly feel like I still love this season. I love this season so much. Um, I think that this season, honestly, is one of my favorite, even considering the fact that HBO decided to, or not HBO, Warner Brothers, because we have to be clear here. Warner Brothers, they're the David Zaslav and whatnot. They're the ones in charge of HBO, which is a branch of Warner Brothers right now. Actually, I think it's like a double branch to put it that way because it's Warner Brothers and then they have Max and then HBO is part of Max. Um, so considering that they, based on the rumors, that pretty much like a month before the writers' strike and whatnot, they told them they needed to cut down. Actually, no, I think it was after. No, no, no. It was. I believe it was before, right before the writer strike. Um, they told them that they needed to cut down on the episodes, and that is just wild to me. And so what they did is they cut down the episodes and they moved them for season 3. Um, and even still, I believe that season 2 is one of my favorite seasons in the Game of Thrones universe. And with that being said, it's my favorite season out of season 1 and season 2. Season 1 was really really good, and they also need their flowers for what they did in season 1. But yes, time jumps could be, were a little bit of a problem for a lot of people, and I also understand that. We didn't get as much of like Dragon Ball and whatnot, but ultimately it's somewhat of a prologue for those of you that read, especially A Song of Ice and Fire. Season 1 was like the prologue, honestly. That's kind of how I see it. And then now season 2 I thought that they um, improved so much, and honestly, kind of responded to a lot of the criticisms that season one had, which was, I think, mainly the time jumps that did not give us time, or did not give us the time that we needed to spend with these characters to better understand them, to better connect with them, or to hate them even more. you know, Christian Cole, I'm talking to you. Even though Christian Cole, honestly, kind of surprised. We were talking about this a few days ago. Um, how Christian Cole's character by the end of this season, not that I support him, not that I'm the biggest fan or anything, but seeing his character change as the season went and realizing, how and how much trouble he is right now and the things that he's done and seeing him kind of crumble down, it's honestly really good to watch. And Fabian Frankel did incredible as Christian Cole. Um, but yes, I think that season two really did improve a lot when it came to character development and spending more time with a lot of these characters. And even still, there are so many awesome characters and awesome actors in this show that I feel like we could have spent a little bit more time with Corliss, I believe, just to throw an example out there. Or spend a little bit more time, even though we did spend more time with them, but can't lie, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of Bela, Jace, and Reina. Um, and I know some people would have even loved to see a little bit of more of the romantic side of things between Bela and Jace. Yes, I think a kiss would have been nice, a good old smooch, but at that point, right now, I'm just kind of nitpicking, honestly. If I start doing that, in general, I feel like I still stand by my feelings after season two, and I feel good now talking to you all about it because it was a little bit rough after, and even still, but I feel like it's died down a little bit 2 weeks after. And I feel like we can talk about it a little bit more like chill. But yes, tensions were high after episode 8. And yeah, I just feel good that now we just get to sit, wait for season three. And I know it's 2 years or a little bit, almost 2 years from now. But man, I kind of need that break, honestly, because if you're a content creator and you're doing House of the Dragon content, it wasn't easy, really. So shout out to everyone that managed to do like weekly recaps and very like great deep dives into season two. I really admire you guys, honestly, because I wasn't able to do it. Um, and I just couldn't handle the pressure a lot of times um, with the way people were treating us just for having different opinions again. Um, but yes, with that being said, I think it's a good time to just go into uh, I'm still deciding whether or not to do the episode ranking. Actually, I'm gonna ask my TikTok, even though I told them I wasn't going to be looking at the comments right now. But TikTok, I'm going to ask you guys, what would you like me to start with? Um, and that way I can kind of have you guys interact a little bit now. So fast, if you guys can, let me know. Um, I'm thinking about okay, these are the options right now. It's either do the episode rank, so which episodes I like the most from number 8 to number 1, or favorite aspects or moments, and or favorite acting. I feel like favorite acting, I would like to leave it more towards the end. So, what do you guys think? On TikTok, if you guys can tell me, yeah, what would you like for me to start with? Uh, Rank the episodes, or do favorite aspects or favorite moments? Oh, Cat and Dancing Moogle say episode ranking. Let's give it to one more person. Let's see. Oh, Kyla said start with the episodes. Okay, so we're doing the episodes. We are doing the rank. This is my rank, people. Um, and I'll start off by saying that I, at the very minimum, really enjoyed all of the episodes. Honestly, again, this season was really, really good. In my opinion, it was really good, considering again the fact that they made him even cut down 2 episodes. Um, at number 8, I have got the episode titled Regent. And for those of you that might not remember, I have the episodes here opened up on my IMDb. That is episode number 5, I believe. Yes, that is episode number 5. An episode that was very much necessary because it was the aftermath of Rook's Rest. It was the aftermath of the Red Dragon and the Gold. Um, and on this episode, we got to see Aemond pretty much owning up what he did. Obviously, nobody knows. Well, Allison knows that something must have happened. That Eamon probably did something weird over there. And yeah, this is the episode as well where they are parading pretty much, or not pretty much, they are actually parading Melis's head all around King's Landing. It's such a man, that moment, it's so sad for me to watch, really, just to see these dragons and the way that they have managed to, man, make these dragons look so real. I'm a big fan of that. I know some people don't like the hyper, how do they call it, like hyper realism look, or hyper realistic look, but I look at these dragons and I feel like I can go out there and literally one day, see one because they look that real and they sound that real. So watching this was so horrible, honestly. And not only because of that, but as a big A Song of Ice and Fire fan and someone who read Fire and Blood, not a whole lot of times. I've only read it once, and the Dance of the Dragon chapters, I've read them twice. So there's things that I always forget and I need to go back on and whatnot. But doing this, it was such a like bad omen. And I will say because I remember seeing some people comment, and these are very valid points actually. um I remember seeing some comments of people saying like, oh, like, why are the small folk, some of the small folk so concerned with Melis's head when Melis was the one that bursted out of the dragon pit and probably killed hundreds of small folk. um that is a very valid point. And uh the only thing that I will say against that, and that kind of makes it, well, it's not really against it, it's just that I am, the way I see it, because this show has a lot of aspects or themes that are very real, that you can tie with real life, what we live day to day. The small folk, who is us in real life, a lot of us, well, not a lot, well, yeah, in general, us, the small folk in real life, we tend to forget, um, more specifically, older generations, it seems like it. Um, will have like very short memory, and they'll forget about the people that oppressed them or just did not give them the respect that they needed as the middle class people, because that's technically what the small folk are. Again, they're just a representation of us, so that is kind of like my only thing against that comment. It's like, dude, that even happens in real life. Like, how many politicians nowadays that have done horrible things and they still have people who support them, and support them blindly. That's like the other thing. Like, they just act as if they have never done anything wrong. Um, so yeah, that's kind of my thing. Um, this was the episode as well. Let's see. Another big part of this episode, we just had Damon and Harrenhal, which I know a lot of people weren't like too like they weren't really big fans of that. Honestly, I absolutely loved Damon's arc in Harrenhal. Uh, now, this episode also includes one of my favorite moments in the show, in season two, and in the show in general. And it's that moment between Corliss and Bela, where Corliss obviously grieving about Rhaenys, and he pretty much offers Bela the for her to be the new heir to Driftmark, and Bela's like, nope. Uh, you have to be from sea and salt. I think that's what she says, and she's fire and blood. And I thought that was so, so good. And um and again, it's pretty much the highlight of Bethany Antonia as Bela Targaryen. Although that moment where she's flying up top with Moon Dancer and goes after Crispy Cole was really, really good, but we'll get to that. Um Anyways, moving on. For number seven, I have The Burning Mill. The Burning Mill is an episode, it's episode number three, and it's also a really, really good episode. It's an episode. Oh, it's the episode where we get Bela on top of Moon Dancer and goes after Kristen Cole. We get the battle, well, the aftermath of the Battle of the Burning Mill, which at first I was a little bit disappointed. Um, and I was disappointed in terms of not getting to see the fight because it was one of the fights. I will say it was one of the fights that I was very much looking forward to, but after a few days of thinking about the episode and whatnot, I think that watching the aftermath without showing the fight, or yeah, showing the aftermath after that altercation between just these random Blackwoods versus Brackens to show you how passionate and how deep rooted the 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 division of these houses are, all the way up from Team Green and whoever bent the knee for them. In this case, the Brackens with the Greens and the Blackwoods with the Blacks, and yeah, it was kind of terrifying, and not terrifying, horrifying. Uh, Whatever. I think you guys get what I'm trying to say. To see that shot and everyone pretty much dead. Well, not pretty much. Everyone was dead, and really, really bloody. That was really good, really good, really good. My cat. Again, you guys know I have pets, so he's going around somewhere right now, meowing. Anyways, Burning Mill also gives us Damon arriving at Harrenhal, and I thought that was done so good. Harrenhal was one of the things I was most looking forward to for season two, and it did not disappoint. I really feel like Harrenhal it's somewhat of its own character within season two, and hopefully later on, because this will not be the last time that we see Harrenhal, and I'll just leave it at that. Um, and I thought they did an incredible job um, with the whole design and the way it looked inside, and Damon walking around trying to find whoever was in the castle at the moment, and that's where we find well not find it because we didn't know. Well, we some of us knew, but that's where we get to meet the one of the top three characters of season two, in my opinion. The one and only, the prince that was promised, Simon Strong. Definitely one of the favorite characters for everyone. It's just crazy how awesome that character was. And I love the fact that they weren't, Simon Strong's character was super funny, but the actor wasn't trying to be funny, honestly. And I always, always, always enjoy that. Um, season or episode 3, The Burning Mill, also gives us the moment of the funeral that Rhaenyra gave the Cargill twins. So it's the aftermath of the Cargill Bowl. The twins fighting, and both of them, well, it turns out Eric, took his life after the fight because he couldn't deal with the guilt, and just horrible, horrible thing to just have to fight your twin that you love so much. Um, Sorry for my dog again. But yeah, that's pretty much some of the highlights of episode 3, The Burning Mail. Now, next on my list is A Son for a Son, which is the first episode of season 2. An episode that was sadly super divisive over something that it should have not been the case, which is blood and cheese. Um, but I'll get to that here in a minute. Episode 1 to me was honestly still gives me a little bit of chills, because we were back in the north, um, and I'm a huge fan of the Starks. Of course, Starkgarian over here. I love the Starks. I love the North. I love all of the magic that comes with the North, and to be back up there with Jace, who's one of my favorite characters in Fire and Blood, and honestly in A Song of Ice and Fire, um, alongside another one of my favorite characters in A Song of Ice and Fire, and sometimes I even think that he might be my favorite Stark, Cregan Stark. I thought it was done great. I thought Tom Taylor was, man, was perfectly casted. Honestly, I thought he looked super super cool. I know some people wanted him to look super old, and because in Fire and Blood, if you've read it, you've seen some of the images, and you've seen that he looks, the guy looks like 40. And I remember seeing some memes of like, dude looks 50 with like 3 student loans, 4 kids, and a whole bunch of, a lot of debt. um and I thought Tom Taylor as Cregan Stark was so so good. This was also, also they gave us a little bit of lore, and that also, why am I saying also so much? Um, when when Cregan Stark started talking about Alysanne, good Queen Alysanne, going to the north and trying to fly Silverwing past the wall, and she tried doing it 3 times, and it just would always come back, and not did not want to go further past the wall, or like too further out. And this right after Jace is sort of like kind of making fun of him, or fun of them, because he's like, well, why do you guys have a wall just to keep, snow and some wildlings out? He's like, oh, believe me, it's more than that. And that's when he drops that whole thing about Alysanne. And I know he mentions Jaehaerys, which, if I'm not mistaken, Jaehaerys is not over there during that time. He doesn't go up to the wall with Alysanne. It's just Alysanne over there. And if you've read Fire and Blood, there's also some rumors that are pretty interesting. I won't get into them, but if you haven't, go check it out. It's interesting. Alysanne's time in at the wall. So episode 1, also we find out about the tapestry. There's a new intro sequence, and it's all based off of a tapestry, and it's so beautiful. It's so incredibly done. I thought about talking about it later, but I can just include it as one of my favorite moments already, or favorite things, aspects. And it was, yeah, the intro I thought was so, so good. It was so beautiful. And I would, man, I don't know. I think it gives Game of Thrones a run. How do you say, a run for its money or something like that? I think you get what I'm trying to say. Spanish coming in, I can't. um, Yeah, season one is packing. That I hate that I have it at number six because it's a really really good episode. Incredible acting. We get Rainita. She doesn't say anything up until the end where she says she wants Aemon Targaryen, but you could tell, you could hear her voice every time she looked in the camera or every scene that she was in. Her grief was just man was so incredible to watch. Sad, but incredible to watch in terms of Emma Darcy's performance. They were just stunning, incredible. Um, Episode one also gave us the other side of incredible acting, or incredible characters, at least in my opinion. Um, for season two, Aegon and Tom Glenn Carney as Aegon, and when I tell you guys that, and I'll get more into it probably when we talk about the favorite acting or actors, but Tom Glenn Carney as Aegon was just mind blowing, in my opinion. I was not expecting to see such an incredible performance um, by Tom Glenn Carney playing Aegon. Um, yes. Uh, let's see what else that we have here for episode one. I think that pretty much covers it. Oh, of course, Blood and Cheese. What I was gonna say about Blood and Cheese, the kind of was divisive. And in my opinion, it should have not been divisive because I thought Blood and Cheese was done really, really good. Um, I was not, I was hoping that they were not going to do things the same way that they did it, or like George wrote it on the book. And also, a lot of people seem to forget, and we've talked about this 100 times. Actually, probably more than 100 times. All of us content creators who have read Fire and Blood, we can take these things, a lot of them, you know, how do you say, like straight up, as they're given to us in the book. There are a lot of different accounts, and Blood and Cheese is definitely one of those that, if you really think about it, and I've seen some people talk about it, especially on Reddit, um, and I think it might have been one of my friends, Steve from the awesome podcast streaming things. Go check them out; they're incredible. I love them. But Steve kind of said, like, I don't know. I'm paraphrasing right now, but it pretty much had to do with the people that were criticizing the fact that Alicent was out um, with Christian Cole during the events of Blood and Cheese, different, which is different than what we got in the book, where we had Alicent in the room with Helena and Blood and Cheese and the kids and all of that. What if, this is what he says in some of the Reddits that I've read, what if actually in the real story, Allison, in fact, was in there, and she was, in fact, with Christian Cole. But obviously, the Maesters, Eustace and Gildane, and all of this, they are more on the side of the High Towers. What if, in order to make Allison and the High Towers look good in this, and put Rhaenyra as an even worse person, what if we say that, for history, we say that Allison was in the room when in fact she wasn't. Um, and I thought that was such a great point, that a lot of people did not consider. Also, all of the criticism when it came to Blood and Cheese, I thought it wasn't, they weren't valid, because a lot of the people, and I thought they were just straight up weirdos. Honestly, I'm sorry if you thought about it this way, but man, it's kind of weird. um, some of you wanted this to have more gore and to actually show us what happens to Jaehaerys. And I'm like, what are we even talking about? Like, You can hear the squelching and the what they're doing to this kid. What are we talking about? Like, why do we have to watch this tragic moment, this horrific moment on TV? Like, what is the need for that? When also, if you watch the show like me and you put on subtitles, you get the description of what they're doing. It's not good. It's not good. So yeah, I don't really I don't understand why some people were wanting to see this. Um and Helena did or shoot, Fia Saban, she did, and I'm sorry if I'm misgendering. I think she goes by she. Um Man, they did such an incredible job. Uh and I hated also to see some people, man, just calling her out and be like, "Oh my god, like the actress didn't do a good job." Like they weren't showing pretty much any emotions. And I'm like, "Are we even watching the same thing?" Like everyone reacts to traumatic moments differently. There are literally people who in traumatic moments just freeze and they don't know what to do. And in her case, she at least she ran off, and went over to her mom, and man, you could see the horror through her eyes. So I'll leave it at that. There are some other things about this episode. I'm not deep diving into the episodes. This is a ranking, and we're on number 6 still. So number 5, and I hope you guys are enjoying the fact that I'm going through some of the highlights of the episodes. Let me know in the comments if you did not like it, if you just straight up wanted the ranking and just 8 through 1. I mean, maybe I'll do it like that next time. But I don't know. I think this is cool. I think this is cool. Um, Number 5, I have Rainita the Cruel. I thought, um, I thought this episode was really, really good. This is where 5 through 1 to me are. It's just a few moments that make them, even like they're all great. They're all great. Um, we'll get there. Number 5, Rainita the Cruel. I'll start off by saying that this episode, I thought it was the closest to how you feel, at least how I felt when I was reading Fire and Blood. Because when you're reading Fire and Blood and you're going through the Dance of the Dragon chapters, which have a different name, I can't remember the name of the chapters, um, but you can tell that there is an agenda against Rhaenyra. And yes, Rhaenyra later on, she'll do some things. But from the very beginning, or at least from the moment where Viserys names Rhaenyra heir, you can tell the agenda is like, man, it's against her for sure. Um, and we got to see this, happening in real time pretty much, with Otto and his scheming to make Rhaenyra look bad and make Rhaenyra look cruel. And when they do the whole funeral moment and having to parade, or however you call that, whatever, the funeral processions or something, I think it is. Um, and you have that dude just yelling, "These are the actions of Rhaenyra the Cruel." Yo estaba aquí. Like, what the hell, man? Like, no. But that's also the type of like maniac and political schemer that Otto Hightower is. How in just a matter of hours, he was moving, he was trying to set everything up to make them look better and just trash Rhaenyra in the process and just pretty much seal everything. And that's why, honestly, I've talked about this a lot on like live videos and videos of mine on TikTok. I honestly feel like Tywin, this is my headcanon. If you don't want to believe it, it's fine. I'm not gonna be hurt by it, but I like to think about it this way because Tywin was such a I feel like, yeah, Tywin studied history for sure. And I really do feel like Tywin sat down a lot of times and just went through history and read up on Otto Hightower and how to be a hand, how to be hand of the king. Um, so with that being said, I really did feel that way when watching this episode. Um, I felt the same way as I was when I was reading Fire and Blood. I'm like, man, these people are just straight up bashing Rhaenyra and making and trying to make her look bad for everyone to, you know, fall for. Uh, now, with that being said, or moving on pretty much. I don't know what I'm saying. um, Now, moving on with this episode, we have one of the highlights of season two, in my opinion, when it comes to acting. And that is the moment where Aegon is just going crazy because of what just happened and to his son. And that's the moment where they all go to the council and he's yelling at everyone. I've seen some incredible videos on TikTok that have people have put up. And every time I see one, I just watch it, even if it's the same one I've watched already like 20 times, because Tom Glenn Carney, my guy, you put in so much. Where did you go? Where did you go to put up that moment? It was honestly, I'm even getting a little bit emotional, really, because it's so good. Um, and all throughout the episode, I have some other moments because this one has it's just crazy. This episode is really good. This episode, we also get to meet Hugh Hammer. Actually, no, I think we met Hugh Hammer on episode one, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but yeah, the other big highlight, in my opinion, of this episode is the moment where Otto gets fired and Kristen Cole gets the Hand of the King title. And it's one of my absolute favorite Riz Iphans as Otto Hightower. And it's where he starts laughing kind of maniacally after Aegon tells him that, oh, paraphrasing again. Oh, that's why my dad wanted or my father wanted. He wanted me to be king, and he just turns around and starts laughing again, like maniacally, and asks him if that's what he really thinks happened or what he thinks that's what Viserys wanted. And the way he looks at him, it's just perfection. It's one of my favorite moments. Actually, this episode has three of my favorite moments in season two. So it's wild to have it at number five, but it's just yeah. There's some other events on the other episodes that I thought were just stole the show. Um, Now the other moment, and it's pretty much how we finish off the episode. It's the Cargill twin fight, and I thought this was done beautifully. That this was beautifully done. This was tragic. This had so many emotions. I keep saying this. I can't imagine being Luke and Elliot. I think that's the name of the twins. They're actually twins in real life. I can't imagine them going through this moment together, acting this scene out because they every time I watch a video of them, they are so like they just man, they light up with each other. You can tell they absolutely love each other, so much. And it kind of bleeds into House of the Dragon, honestly, the way they act. And watching them having to fight each other, I'm getting goosebumps right now, really. And I thought it was done great. Um, I'm happy that Eric ultimately was the one that won, but technically nobody won here. That's the tragic thing of this. Yes, Eric won. He killed his brother, but then he kills himself because he can't deal with the guilt of having done what he just did. Someone that he put duty so high up to a point that he was even or they were even willing to fight each other, fight the person that they probably loved the most. So yeah, I thought that was really, really good. Um Now, I don't think there's anything else that's super, as big as that on episode 3. Wait, no, Rainita the Cruel. Well, no, actually, I'm sorry. Rainita the Cruel is episode 2. I think I might have said episode 3 earlier, but it's episode 2. And we also have another moment. I have some pictures up here just to kind of guide me. But this episode, we also had the big fight between mom and dad, Rainita and Damon, and uh, just acting at its peak. Honestly, that I had forgotten that we got this on this episode. The moment where Renita and Damon are fighting, um, and again, this episode has not 3 but 4 incredibly good acting or great acting moments um on this episode alone. So it's wild that I have it at number 5. I'm starting to even reconsider if I should actually move it up. But I won't do it. At least not now. Maybe I'll make another video later on and yeah, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, number 5, Renita the Cruel, incredible episode. Um Yeah, I'm definitely going to be rewatching that at some point. Okay, now, episode 4, or not episode 4. At number 4 on the ranking, I have got The Queen Whoever Was. And it's or not the series, the season finale. Although the way some people are acting as if the last episode of this season was the series finale. Like, come on, guys. The season finale for season 2, some of you are treating it as if like the show is over, like this is it, we just finished House of the Dragon and everything just ended here. No. But yes, at number 4 I have The Queen Whoever Was, and I have to be honest with you, this was a little bit hard for me to put at number 4 because Damon's vision and the magical aspect that we got here with the green man showing up, damn, that was good. um but I thought that this episode was, man, I really liked it. If you guys watch my not sort of a review of this episode or overall thoughts back when it came out 2 weeks ago, crazy. You know that I really like this episode. And actually, I was even being called some racial slurs. And that's what I'm saying, that I feel better now talking about the show like 2 weeks after. And I'm hoping that this episode will go smoothly with everyone. I won't have any weirdos on my comments or anything. But yeah, I was even called some racial slurs for me being Latino and just for liking the episode. Yes. Like, go check out my TikTok. You'll find the video there. It has to do with beans. That's all I'm gonna say. Um, yes, this episode, even though I had some problems with it, ultimately, ultimately, I thought it was good. I thought it was really good, and I thought that the vision moment kind of took things over the top, in my opinion. Um, And I know it's kind of weird when we talk about the vision, because the vision um, pretty much makes us hate the ending of Game of Thrones even more, with how they treated uh, everyone. Honestly, like all of the characters, uh, but even more so Daenerys. Um, yeah, if I'm not gonna talk about the ending right now, but if you watch this episode, which I suppose you did, if you're watching this, unless you're my mom and you're just watching this episode to support me, thank you, mom. My mom doesn't watch Game of Thrones yet or House of the Dragon. Hopefully she will at some point. But yeah, this episode had so much magical aspects in it that honestly just pushed it to number 4 in my opinion. And again, I don't think any list is bad. This is my list, and it'll probably change. If you ask me in a month, it might change. So this is just having fun. Um, I thought this was a really good episode. We had moments with Christian Cole that I did not expect we would have, and Gwen Hightower, and just to look at Christian Cole through like another, how do you say, like through another lens, because this is a character that we've hated so much and we still don't like, but to see him, go through these emotions and realizing of the things that he's done, um it's interesting. It's really, really interesting. Um, the other thing about this episode, we get finally the end of Damon's arc in Harrenhal, which I know a lot of people um did not were like growing uh impatient for. And yeah, I thought I was a big fan of Damon's arc in Harrenhal. So to see what we got in the end and the way he united the Riverlands, even though it was messy, as it usually is with Daemon Targaryen, you won't ever get a straight answer or a straight. You won't get to the finish line in a straight arrow. You will always just zigzag your way through because that's Daemon for you. Um, so let's see now. Yeah, the other thing that has to do with Damon is the finale, and it has to do with the ending of his Harrenhal arc is the vision and the moment that he gets to see the Green Man. And I know a lot of people were saying like, "Oh my God, that's." At first, I thought it was just a joke, but then people were putting out 30 paragraphs of why that was Robert Baratheon that showed up um, in the vision of Damon and Damon's vision, which he wasn't having the vision at that moment. So whatever. Um, I thought it was also very awesome or beautiful in a way. The fact that, for those of you that don't know, the weirwood that Damon touches um, has George R. R. Martin's face carved into it. And that was somewhat of a like a surprise gift that Ryan Kondo and the people that were behind the show did for George. And you know what's I talked about this with Westerosi the other day, I think it was. But to me, it was like poetic, and it was beautiful to watch if you really think about it, because what are the if it was pure coincidence, damn it was some damn good coincidence. But if it was planned out to where Damon, who is one of George's favorite characters, eh, sorry, what was that? Um, who is one of George's favorite characters, um, to touch the weirwood, and from George's weirwood, I took it like it's George's mind and he's the one putting out the vision. And maybe it's not this, they who knows, maybe again, this is pure coincidence, but I think it's beautiful. It's kind of poetic. Um to be through that moment, through that specific weirwood that Damon gets the vision, I thought it was beautiful. And who knows? Let's say it wasn't coincidence and it was something that George and Ryan Condal kind of, based on conversations that they've had of Game of Thrones and whatnot, and how it ended and how characters were treated, especially Daenerys. Um, I could even see this as somewhat of a like, don't explain it, which they haven't. Ryan Condal has not, and I thought that was really, really good to read and like hear him say this. Um, that he will not commit to saying that Daenerys is the prince that was promised because that is George's story to tell. That is George's um uh yeah, that is George's story to tell pretty much. So that is him pretty much paying respect to George, and I really, really appreciated that, considering that Game of Thrones and D&D, I want to say what, maybe after season 6 their relationship wasn't good. Like, supposedly they even ghosted George out, and like they weren't having conversations. I think it might have even been like season 5. So to have Ryan and George will always have his critiques, of course. Like, this is his world. He's always going to have something to say, and he had a few things to say like around mid-season, I think it was, that had everyone just going crazy. Um but honestly, I feel like at the end of the day, I feel like George is satisfied, for the most part, with what we are getting with House of the Dragon. But yeah, I thought it was beautiful to watch. Damon touch the weirwood that has George's face, and just that specifically give him the vision. I thought that was really, really good. Um, Now on this episode as well, let's see, we had Reina going after Sheep Stealer. I wanted to leave this. I don't know why I mentioned it now, but I wanted to leave it, but I'll talk about it now. This is one of the things that I wasn't a big fan. And obviously, I'm a big fan of, like, I've accepted the fact that Nettles wasn't going to be in the show and Reina was going to be the one claiming Sheep Stealer. But this season, I thought one of the biggest themes or aspects, and I'll mention this a little bit more after I'm done with the ranking. Um, One of the most important aspects about this season was dragon bonding. So I thought that if we would have gotten Reyna claiming a dragon like Sheep Stealer, which you were kind of hinting quite a bit for like 3 episodes, and even more so the last episode, and you just leave us like that, man, I don't know. I thought I, I would have liked to have gotten that moment. Now, that pretty much puts us back in the mindset of possibly, hopefully, we'll get Nettles. And maybe they will notice that, man, this character, a lot of people want to see it as in Nettles. And I think we should involve this character. And I don't want to get too much into spoilers. And maybe I can make a video about it later. But there are ways in which they can include Nettles in the show. And if they keep expanding on the magical aspect of the story, which I'm always down for, Nettles is pretty much, if not, it's pretty much one of the biggest, like, mysteries in Fire and Blood, in the Song of Ice and Fire history. Um, so we'll just have to wait and see. Now, Sheep Stealer, I thought the design was so good. Was more than I was expecting, honestly, because you can even see kind of like the claws or something. Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. You can kind of see the claws coming out of its wings. Um, and its wings being very like messed up in a lot of ways. Um, I don't know. It just looked really, really cool. I thought it would be bigger though, but maybe season 3 they'll give us, yeah, it'll be bigger. Um, Now, again, I really think that Reina, I was expecting Reina to claim Sheep Stealer here, especially when this season um was kind of, it was one of the focus points. Dragon bonding was. So yeah, that was a little bit of a bummer for me. Um, Still loved it in terms of how it looked. And Sheep Stealer, again, I will not stand any Sheep Stealer Stealer slander here. Um, Now we got. I'm not gonna expand on this too much, but the whole Helena, she kind of spoiled. She got a little bit spoily for yeah, she got a little bit spoily. But again, a lot of people don't know how things are gonna go later on. I'll leave it at that. But I did like, and I'm not gonna act like I know what's happening because I feel like the moment that we had between Helena and Damon, where she was part of Damon's vision, that was, I still have not been able to figure that out. I think Lady Dragon JJ, awesome JJ, I think she made a video about it. If not, I think she said she was going to make a video about it. So maybe keep an eye out for that or check her out. I'm definitely gonna check her out. Yeah, she's great. Um, Another, we got our first glimpse of Tessarion and Daron. So hopefully next season we'll get to see Tessarion. We got the what was another moment? There was another. What am I missing? Oh, another thing that I kind of didn't like about this episode was the fact that they dropped Otto Hightower in there out of nowhere and just, yeah, just left it there, and after he had not shown up for like 4 episodes, which now makes sense, the reason why he had not shown up. But I don't know. I thought it would have been good to leave that for like a trailer later on. But again, that's more like nitpicky. Um, yeah, I thought this episode sets up season 3 perfectly. And that is one of the reasons why I really, really liked it. Oh, the moment between Allison and Rainita. At first I was like, why are we doing this again? Hear me out. Hear me out. Of course, Olivia Cook, Emma Darcy, incredible actresses, um, or actors. Uh, and every moment that they're together, it's gonna be good because they're just that talented. At first, I was like, "Why are we doing this again?" But by the end of it, it sets things up for season 3 to be more book accurate when it comes to Rainita and Allison's relationship. Because when Allison, now this is what I think will happen, and I think I mentioned it whenever we um uh were doing the watch party the day the episode came out. This is something it just clicked for me. But whenever season 3 comes around and Rainita goes to King's Landing and sees Allison over there and there's no Aegon, Allison will either need to just leave and just try to just, yeah, go to Essos or something. But if she stays, which I really think she will, things are not gonna be looking good for her because she's gonna look like she told Aegon to escape, and because of what was going to happen, and Rhaenyra is not gonna take it anymore. She's just gonna, yeah, it's gonna turn more into what we get in the book, which is, yeah, Rhaenyra and Alicent at war, and pretty much hating each other. uh, So yeah, that was number 4. Wow. Number 3, I have the red sewing. Wait, no, 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 no. I'm sorry. At number 3, I have small folk. Yeah, at number 3, I have small folk. Um, the one of the biggest reasons we get the vision with Viserys, of course, getting Patty Considine coming back. That was incredible to watch. I absolutely love Patty Considine. If you guys don't follow Patty Considine online or on social media, please do. The guy is just hilarious, really, and um, and an incredible actor. So seeing Busy come back and keep the way they kept developing Damon's arc or character was really really good. Um, but my biggest reason why I love this episode is because of Sea Smoke's claiming of Adam of Whole, which, yes, that's what happened. It wasn't Adam claiming Sea Smoke. It was literally Sea Smoke claiming Adam. And I thought that was really, really good because, again, it fortifies, is that, or solidifies the fact that dragons are very much unknown when it comes to what we understand of how they go about things. And because we always seem the way it's always being portrayed is like, here comes the dragon rider or the possible dragon rider, and he tames the beast, you know, to their will because they're Targaryens, and they'll just connect because of that. Which, yes, that has something to do, but ultimately, it always feels like they put the dragon rider over the dragon, if that makes sense. When in fact, it should always be the dragon, what we should kind of like praise more. Um, So watching Sea Smoke going after Adam was really really cool. I thought the cinematography was incredible. Actually, I think JJ talked about this on our episode, but I thought, or she says, that it was kind of like a horror, as there was kind of like a horror aspect to it. Obviously, not, because a lot of people, when you say horror nowadays, they're just thinking about, big bad monster of like demon style or ghost or something. No, but it's more of a like kind of like Jaws, you know, um, being haunted or hunted by this dragon, and Adam just running for his life, trying to escape, and because not he doesn't know what's happening. I would be scared shitless, man. And then when he finally finds a spot where he feels like he's safe, and he's like, "Yeah, he's not gonna find me here." Sea Smoke is like, "I got news for you. I'm getting you any way it is." And that moment where just Sea Smoke lands in front of him, and he lands so like clumsy and kind of so hard that he's even like kind of drifting away, and just stands in front of him. Adam is again super scared, as I would be. And yeah, we get that bond. I will say, just like JJ, I wish we would have gotten the moment where he gets on top of Sea Smoke or like touches him and they go off flying. That would have been really, really good to watch. Even if we did not get a like how do you say, like a up close shot as we were getting throughout the season. We started getting those shots of them like as if you were the dragon rider and you could see their heads and whatever. um we could have done like a wide shot and just both of them going off flying. um but it's okay. It was still incredible. um I saw some criticisms of and we're moving on now to another part of the episode. I don't think there's what else is big. Oh well, before I get to the criticism by some people, that moment between Alice Rivers and Damon, where she's talking to him about being, bigger, there's like a bigger game being played, um, in general. Uh That was so, so good to watch. I thought Gail Ranking did incredible as Alice Rivers. And honestly, that was one of the things I was most looking forward to. That's why I really like this season. A lot of the things that I was really looking forward to pretty much happened. And yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I really love this season. Um, but yeah, the moment between Damon and Alice, and then Alice is talking to him about pretty much gets him to ask for help, was really really good. Um, by the way, this is the episode where Misaria and Rhaenyra kiss, and where all these people started review bombing because of that. Uh, what can I say? You guys are just whatever. Uh, I'm sure you understand what I how I feel. It's stupid. um, by the way, rest in peace, Darklyn, Stefan Darklyn. I forgot to say that because he tried to bond with Sea Smoke first, and yeah, the Dragon Keepers and their Valerian sticks, they did not help at all. Our boy Darklyn just sadly passed away, roasted out. Um, yeah, there's some other great moments in this episode, but yes, Small Folk is at number 3 for me. At number 2, I have the Red Sewing. Um, dude, the dragon seeds moment. That's one of the biggest things that happens in Fire and Blood. And to get to see all of these dragon seeds in Dragonstone, which I believe it's different than what we got in the book. If I'm not mistaken, in the book, um, the dragon seeds go. It's over in King's Landing, but whatever. It's still cool. It's the first time also that we get to see a more cold-blooded Rhaenyra, because she's technically sentencing all these people. And yes, she does point out that, this is not going to be easy. You're probably going to lose your life, but, you know, you can tame a dragon. But on the inside, she knows, like, well, obviously, she knows almost like what, 98% of them are going to die. And she's just standing there waiting for it. This episode is full of incredible moments as well. We got the moment between Adam and Rhaenyra out on the beach. That's how we opened that episode, which is incredible to see. One of my absolute favorite moments, really, um, uh, cinematically, and their conversation between Rhaenyra and Adam. Beautiful. We get to see Silverwing and Vermithor, and Silverwing for the very first time. Which, by the way, um, I read this theory on Reddit that, and it's pretty cool, that the reason why Silverwing ended up bonding with Ulf wasn't because he was worthy or whatever, which again, we don't really know why she chose Ulf of all people. But if you guys can remember, whenever we start off with the sowing or the dragon claiming moments with Vermithor and everyone else, Ulf gets like pushed out by Vermithor and he falls off that little cliff or whatever it is, that dragon dock. The theory is, what if Vermithor just dropped some, because obviously he's huge, dropped some like saliva or something, or his scent on Ulf, and then when Ulf just keeps on running and stumbles with Silverwing, Silverwing smelled him, and even I think he does that little boop, and kind of pushes him, you know, maybe that's the reason why that Silverwing bonded with him, because she could smell Vermithor on him, and she was like, "Ah, you smell familiar. I'm gonna go with you." So that is super interesting. Obviously, I'm not saying that's what happened. I just think it's a pretty cool theory. Um, And when you consider the fact that Ulf stepped on the eggs, on that clutch of eggs, don't you think that any dragon would have just lost their shit and would have just killed him? I think so. Um, so yeah, it's fun, it's interesting. Um, and yeah. Let's see what else was really interesting on this episode. We get Viserys and Damon again, and this time, Damon is literally now at that point where he actually doesn't want the crown. Um, and he's talking with Viserys in this other vision, and of course, beautiful. By the way, the shot between Vermithor, that iconic moment of what was it? Nystros Masis Vermithor. I hope that was good. Listen, I've never trained, I've never practiced my Valerian, but whatever. Um, I thought that was so beautiful, and she turns around and has Vermithor behind her. Incredible. We also get our boy Oscar Tully, one of the highlights of this episode, and honestly, I think even season two. The way he was this badass kid, he wasn't letting Damon do whatever the hell he wanted, and he had control over, not control, well, somewhat control over his people, um, the River Lords, and yeah, I thought that whole moment between the River Lords and the and Damon and Oscar Tully and all that, I thought it was great, and I hope to see Oscar Tully. We should be seeing them in the next season, of course. Uh, we get. I think this might be the moment where or Alan, yeah, Alan of Hull, he kind of snaps at Corliss, and whew, it was really really good as well. Um, we get Jace projecting because yeah, now you're gonna bring in bastards, and people are now gonna question his whenever it's his time to be king, because Rhaenyra, obviously that's Jace is Rhaenyra's heir, and whenever she passes away and it's his time to take the crown, wh- like what do you think it's going to happen? Now, I did not like at first, well, I don't like it still, but I understand like why they wanted to do it the way they did, but with the whole mongrel stuff and like the way he you know I, Jace did or Harry Collette did an incredible job. I'm not, it's a weird moment. I'm like, it's more of me like saying no, Jace, like don't say that, because I really like Jace, and I think Jace, I look at Jace like very honorable and whatnot. So he just let his emotions take over, you know, and again, kind of projecting. And then, of course, this episode ends with the Avengers Assemble moment of Rhaenyra and walking out with Cyrax, Vermithor, and Silverwing, as Aemon is flying towards Dragonstone. And this was after Ulf, crazy Ulf, flies over to King's Landing with Silverwing, which I do not think it was on purpose. I don't think that Rhaenyra said like, okay, when you get on top of him. No, no, that I know a lot of people think it was. Honestly, I do not think it was. Um, I thought it literally just happened randomly, and Silverwing spent a lot of time in King's Landing, with good Queen Alysanne and all of that. She just wanted a good old fly over there. That's how I took it, really. I didn't think it was like a plan that Rhaenyra had to send Silver. Like, if you were to do that, all of them would have gone over to King's Landing. Like, what is the reason to just send Silverwing over to King's Landing when Vagar is over there And a lot of things can happen with the scorpions, which I'm kind of surprised that nobody let out a scorpion, or maybe they were just confused and they hadn't seen Silverwing in such a long time that they weren't really sure whether or not to fire because they didn't know who this dragon was. I don't know. I'm just over here theorizing. Let me know what you think in the comments. Um, let's see now. And at number one, wow, that took a little bit longer than I wanted. Um, the red dragon and the gold. Um, it is the moment of the Battle of Rook's Rest, and such a sad moment. An incredible battle. Uh, what can I say? That episode has some of my most absolute favorite moments in the Game of Thrones universe. Um, sad, of course, but to watch it, it was literally the dance of the dragons. The moment that Meleys and Vagar and Meleys and Sunfire, get all tangled up. It was literally the dance of the dragons, like they would talk about it in Fire and Blood. Sadly, Meleys and Rhaenys pass away after sneaky ass Granny Vagar shows up, and yeah, they kill our girl Meleys and Rhaenys. Now, this moment also, oh, this is the first time we get to see Sunfire like up close, and I absolutely loved him. I loved Sunfire. And one of my favorite moments of season two is that moment between Aegon and Sunfire. And I've mentioned this before, but every time I watch it, I somewhat get emotional because, man, Aegon's character, I don't support him, obviously, but and he's done really, really like messed up shit, things that have to do with like SA and all of that. But just, you know, taking the character for what he is and looking at the good with the bad. When I think about Aegon this season and the job that Tom Glenn Carney did, uh I'm so mind blown because if you think about it, Aegon, if it would have been for him, first of all, he had already accepted that Rhaenyra was the queen. He literally said he tells Aemon in the first season, just ship me out, send me somewhere else, like send me to Essos, I think it was. He did not want this, and this all is happening in just a span of a few days. The coronation, like Viserys dies, the coronation is just a couple days after. Um, so these people, as in Otto Hightower, Alicent, Kristen Cole, they all set Aegon for failure, honestly, or at least to just, for his ultimately his how do you say end result or whatever. Um, and the thing is, they wanted they wanted him with the crown, but what really they wanted, especially Otto, was to control him. But how are you going to control someone who has spent all his life accepting the fact that his father doesn't really want him to be, king? He's accepted that fact. And even though maybe he's not, he doesn't agree with it, but whatever. That's what my father wanted. That's what my father wanted. And then all of a sudden, you give him all this power and you put him in front of hundreds of people in this big ass coronation. And what do you think is going to happen? Like, you could not control someone like that. So yes, when I see that moment between Sunfire and Aegon, and he, when he comes up after the brutal moment that he had between him and Alicent, where she bashes him, man, bad, bad. Nobody really cares for Aegon. Like nobody, honestly, nobody loves Aegon, at least at this point. At the end, And not even because Allison is over here giving her son away. Like, yeah, to be killed off. But the only, living being that loves and is, has love pretty much. I honestly think it's somewhat love towards Aegon is Sunfire. Really. Their bond is and really it's not love. I'm sure like somebody if somebody wants to get all technical and be like, oh my god, you're gonna say that dragons now love, whatever, nobody fucking knows. But their bond is so big, and honestly, the only one that cares for Aegon is Sunfire at this point. So that is why that moment when he boops him in the chest and you see Aegon smile, dude, it always gets me. I've watched it like 20 times, I think, as well. Um, but yeah, Rook's Rest is the big highlight of this episode. We also get some visions of Daemon. Oh, it's the first time we get to see Millie Alcock back as Rhaenyra, young Rhaenyra. So that was obviously great to watch. Um, and then something that I think maybe, although no, it wasn't on this episode, but I just remembered. We get to see Lena Velaryon again, and we see Lena twice. The second time, which wasn't on this episode, she tells Damon or asks him if he has been looking up or looking after their daughters, and he looks at her like, no, pretty much. I'm hoping that next season we're gonna get a Damon that's more pays more gives the girls the attention that they need. Um, we'll see how it goes with Bela because Bela has been the more outspoken about it. So maybe he'll connect more with Reina, but we'll see. I would love to see him try at least to be there for them. But yeah, I think this is my favorite episode of season two. Just to go through it super fast with you guys. Um, my This is my ranking for House of the Dragon season two. And it goes at number eight, I got Regent. At number seven, I've got the Burning Mill episode. At number six, I got A Son for a Son, which is the first episode. At number five, I've got Rhaenyra the Cruel. And then at number four, I've got The Queen Whoever Was. Number three, I've got The Small Folk. At number two, I've got The Red Sowing. And at number one, The Red Dragon and the Gold, which is the Battle at Rook's Rest. With that now, we're pretty much going now downhill at this point. Um, Favorite aspects of the show, it has to be the magical aspects. I did not think we were gonna get so much like lore talk in this season or in the show. Honestly, I was already kind of setting myself up as like Game of Thrones, where they cut off quite a bit of the magic. But no, that wasn't the case. Listen, we even got a green man that tells you everything you need to know. Um, and the Dragon Bond, I really, really love the dragon. It's something that I enjoyed of season one, and they double down on season two. Again, I was a little bit disappointed that Reina did not bond with Sheep Stealer, but oh well, it is what it is. Let's see what else. Oh, I forgot over here to put in this for you guys. Let's see. And of course, we got to spend more time with the characters. It was something that was missing a lot from season one. It was a big like critique from a lot of people. I think it was like the general thought was or general critique was that a lot of people wanting to spend more time with these characters, and we just didn't get that because we got the time jumps, and all of them were great. Like the younger versions of the characters, like Millie Alcock as Rhaenyra and Emily Carey, I think that's her name or their name. Actually, I think they go by they. Um, they were great as young Allison. So yes, those were some of my favorite aspects of this this season. Favorite moments I have to put in obviously Battle of Rook's Rest. I have to say the vision of the Weirwood vision that Damon had. Again, it kind of sucks when you look back at Game of Thrones, the last season, the ending. But I honestly feel like they are somewhat trying to ignore in some ways what we got in Game of Thrones. We'll see what happens, whether they do a remake and in a few years or 10 years from now. We'll see. Um, Another one, oh, and I'll include all of Damon's visions in Harrenhal. I thought they were, man, they were very much needed. Uh, with the one with young Rhaenyra, the one with oh, I have something to say when it comes to the visions. I love them. Now, I will say, and I think it was Kayla Cherise. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name. Sorry, sorry, sorry. If you do not know their work, please check it out. She's freaking awesome. We've talked already about her coming on the podcast. Um, uh, so yes, expect that at some point. But shout out Kelly or Kayla, Kelly as well. But I believe it was them. If not, they shared it. Someone mentioning about the visions. It would have been great if we would have gotten a moment with Rhaenyra after they lost Visenya, which is what we got in the last episode of season one. Give me 1 second. I need some water. It was what we got at the end of season one, where she finds out about Viserys dying a few days ago, and the coronation and whatnot, and then she has a miscarriage. It would have been great to have had included a moment of Rhaenyra and Daemon, uh, you know, kind of how do you say, consoling her after that. Yeah, I think that would have been a great addition to the visions. Just saying, I think the visions were great. Um, I know a lot of people had problems with the Alyssa moment, and yes, I do feel like it could have been done differently. But also, some people we Damon didn't know that was his mother. I'll just say that could have been nice if we got it another way. Yes, I would have been down for that as well. But yes, I think both things can be true. Um, because yeah, people were getting confused with whether or not Damon knew that was his mother or not, and he did not, of course. Um, but yes, it would have been great if we would have gotten a Rhaenyra after the miscarriage and Damon consoling her. That would have been beautiful to watch. Sad, obviously, but great. Uh, in the context of the visions. Okay, now moving on. Another moment, the auto snapping at Aegon. I talked about that on the when going on episode. What was that? I think it was Rhaenyra the Cruel. Absolutely loved it. I love the Cargill twins battle. Really, really good. Jason Cregan, another thing that I absolutely loved, and I can't wait to see more of Cregan in the future. Um, because yes, we will get more Cregan. The Green Man cameo, dude. If you're on a Song of Ice and Fire nerd, how can you not get like? How can that not hype the f out of you? Like that was so good for them to include that. That gave Ryan Condal quite a few points. Yeah, quite a few points. Um, I talked about the intro tapestry. It was beautiful, and I thought it was definitely a good addition. And even though I liked the intro sequence of season one, I thought this one was much better. It tells a story like much more clearer than what we got in season one. Now it's gonna be interesting if they'll change it for season two, like if they'll change the tapestry, which I'm hoping they don't. I'm hoping they stick with it. I have over here as well Seasmo claiming Adam, of course. Hugh and Ulf claiming the dragons, Vermithor and Silverwing. Of course, that's another incredible moment. And that's also why I was a little bit disappointed that Reina did not claim Sheep Stealer when, considering this season, dragon bonding was one of the main focuses of the season. And then, of course, Rhaenyra walking out on Aemond. Um, what what else can I say about that moment? Um, I don't think. Yeah, that's definitely top 10 shots of the Game of Thrones universe. Um, let's see. So with those moments, there's many more, really. And I think I talked about a few doing the episode rank. So yeah. Um, Favorite acting. Let's talk about favorite acting here fast. And actually, this will be my last. Yeah, well, I'll end things with this. Um, Favorite acting. I have to go with Tom Glenn Carney as Aegon, Emma Darcy as Renita, and Rhys Ifans as Otto Hightower. We can hate the character as much as we want, but man, Rhys Ifans as Otto Hightower, his absence was felt. I don't know about you guys, but I was missing Otto Hightower when he was, what was it, like from episode, like the last four episodes, I think we didn't get to see him. Um Man, it and Team Green also was missing Otto Hightower. Which by the way, who do you guys think? Let me know in the comments who you think that uh has Otto Hightower in a cell. Or some people even think it's in a boat. Um, I don't know. I kind of thought it was Laris. Laris has been the one that has kept Otto Hightower, but we'll just have to wait and see. One of the reasons why I think it's Laris, it's because when Eamon was asking for Otto, I don't know. Looking back on it, he looked kind of sus. He looked like someone who knows something. But yes, Otto Hightower or Rhys Ifans, my God, what an incredible job. But I think I have to give the nod for like my favorite performance in general. I'll give the slight edge to Tom Glenn Carney as Aegon Targaryen. Because again, this season I was ready to hate Aegon the second. Like I was ready. I was ready to hate Aegon. And man, there were moments where, which also it has to do with the writing, the way they wrote the character, and the directors, of course, a lot of praise for them as well. But Tom Glenn Carney just pushed the character, man, to a level that I did not expect. I was somewhat expecting Aemond to be, which Ewan Mitchell did incredible as well. Like I think I said it at the beginning. Everyone in this season or in this cast is just magnificent. They do an incredible job, and it's just yeah. I just like the moments of Aegon. A lot of times really hit me hard. So I'm excited to just see more of that. Um, and I'm excited for season three, of course. Uh, I think that might be the end. Yeah, season two, man. Damn, what an hour and 45. Well, I got to cut out like 10 minutes, but this was good. This was really good. I know I have people on TikTok, guys. I'm sorry if I haven't been seeing your comments here lately. But like I said, I was just going to. It's just me here, and I wanted to concentrate on the podcast. Um, but thank you all Don't forget to follow Binging Dragons on subscribe here on YouTube or on Spotify, wherever you're listening to, or Apple Podcast. Um, Remember to comment. Let me know what you thought about the episode. Let me know what you thought about season two, your favorite characters, favorite moments. Head on over to Spotify, please, because again, I think they're starting to push those comments more. Um, just and review. Yes, if you are on Spotify or on Apple Podcast, please don't forget to review. If you can give it a 5 star, obviously, if you're having a good time, it really does help out the podcast and push it out there. Um, and yeah, expect a lot of awesome things. Um, Content on other franchises and movies and whatnot. I'm trying to get my wife to join me for a few episodes. She's been getting, yeah, well, we'll see. I might get her in here to do maybe some movies or whatever. Um, I know that a lot of people in my TikTok lives have been having a good time with my wife and like, you know, just having a good time. All of us, talking about a lot of things, geek stuff and whatnot. Thank you all again. I'm stretching this out. I need to say goodbye. Follow me, Ruben Stargarian, CrossRodz, everywhere: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, um, Twitter, X. Again, Binging Dragons. Subscribe, like, follow. I am going to do the next giveaway. I wanted to do it here on YouTube, but I might end up doing it on Instagram again. We'll see. Thank you all again for joining. I appreciate you all so much. This was Binging Dragons, people. Thank you so, so much. Valar Morgulis.